What is up, Hammerheads? Welcome back to the forge. Today, we're forging our fancy bottle opener. Stay tuned. Alright guys, to get the project first started, I am starting with a 7-inch piece of the 3/8 square bar we used. That's where this cutout works out pretty good too, guys. If you're holding something to do an upset on it. Make sure you keep your stuff straight. Go on the heat one more time. But we're gonna upset it a little bit more just to give us a little bit nicer, a little bit bigger leaf. You don't have to upset, you can keep it with a smaller leaf, but I like upsetting mine just a little bit to make a little bit bigger leaf to wrap around. Alright guys, just straighten up what we've done. Again, that's where that little gap comes in handy. You're holding something, need it to grip pretty good. Not upsetting a ton, but upsetting a little bit. And you can already tell there's a difference here than there is back here. It's not a huge, but there is a difference of the size. I'm gonna upset it one more time, then I'm gonna figure out where I want, how big I want my leaf to be on how long, and then we're gonna start making our leaf. All right guys, so I heated a little too much of my still up. So what I'm gonna do is grab it, take it over and quench, so I'm not upsetting down here. I don't need that upset. I did this on purpose so you would know if you get your material too hot or too far down, don't forget to cool down areas that you don't want to have upset, okay? Guys, I'll say the way we did that notch cutout in there works really well for holding this 3/8 while I'm trying to upset and I'm not having to fight with it. Just straightening everything up. I'm gonna make my leaf, make a small little notch right there just so I know where I'm going. Now we're gonna come out, make our dull point. After we come back out of the fire, make our dull point, and then we're going to start forging our leaf and forge our stem down. Because I'm going to wrap this around to make a loop at the top. I need to make that stem kind of thin. Then I'm going to forge this down a little bit just to make it look nicer, and then we're going to forge out our other end for our bottle opener, where the opener will be. Alright guys, all we're doing is drawing this out into a tapered point. Not going super sharp. Stopping right there. It's going to be more of a blunt tip, and we're really just working two sides because we want to make this bump right here where it's going to be almost center of where our leaf is going to be, because this is where I'm going to start necking down to where our stem will be. We'll go a little bit bigger. Right there. I want it to be about right there. I didn't like the first spot. Okay, so we're gonna do half on, half off blows. Get right here, find my notch, hammer straight down. Then I'm gonna turn it slightly 90 degrees. I'll hammer straight down. Turn it, hammer straight down. What I'm doing is establishing this shoulder. And re-squaring my material back up so everything's in line. All right, so that's the first part of our leaf. I'm going to now heat it up and start drawing our stem down. Make sure you keep your leaf bud off of the anvil while you're hammering. You don't want to take a chance of messing that up. And watch out for this shoulder transition right here, guys. It can break if you get it too thin. Alrighty, that's where we're at so far. I'm gonna get this material to probably a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch, maybe 1/8 inch thick for the stem. And I'm gonna come back to about right here with it. Then I'm gonna forge down this just to make a comfortable handle. I really don't know how I wanna do that yet. Really am playing today, guys. I had a plan and then I looked at the metal. The metal feels like it's telling me something different. So we'll go with what the metal's saying. But make your bottle opener your design, guys. Make it how you would like to do it. As you notice, guys, as I was hammering out towards the end of the leaf, I hit a little bit lighter. That's as thick as I want that to be, so I'm not going to go any thinner on it. I am going to go a little thinner right through here, try to get everything as uniform as possible. I want it to look like a vine. Now, as you're hammering, guys, still work your material back in here a little bit so you don't create a weird shoulder that you weren't looking for. I want a gradual taper, so I want it to look like it's growing out of this. Almost where we need to be, guys. Then we're going to start forging our leaf out. Now, once we forge our leaf out, guys, if you're using coal, be very careful. You could burn up that leaf on accident, so pay really close attention to your heat. You don't have to kill it every time you hit it, guys, especially once you're getting the thickness you're looking for. Alright, now I'm going to round this up. Remember, when you're rounding up, put it up on, I'm going to show you here, put it up on the edge and hammer it, then roll it on the other edge and hammer it, then you start moving it around all over the place to make it round, okay? That's all I'm doing here is rounding this up. Being mindful of my leaf bud on the end that I don't break it. Now, when we come out of the fire, you're gonna be tempted to hammer straight down. Hammer this way. Because there's so much material here, you'll create a cold shut right there in that corner. As you can see, guys, I got it flattened. As I hammered it down, I got that first section set. Now I start pulling it, or drawing it out left and right. Okay? So hammer this way till you get it to where it's basically flat right here, where your transition is, and then you start hammering it right side and left side, up and down, however you want to call it, to make that. Okay, we're good. thought I had a crack right here, guys, and it happens very regular. So I'm gonna get it hot again. I'm gonna finish drawing this out wider and get ready to where I'm gonna put my vanes in. All right, guys, I am gonna stop right there because I like the way that looks. I like the style of this. Now, when we come out of the fire, we're gonna take our chisel. We're gonna go straight down the center as close as we can. Then we're gonna start cutting our vanes. Okay? All right, guys, so right now I'm just tapping to make my lines with my chisel. Let's see, get it over here where y'all can see a little better. Don't worry if it ain't perfect. Nothing in nature is absolutely 100% perfect. Then go back once you get your line slightly put in. We'll get it hot again, we're gonna make it deeper. But I wanted a reference point. So as you can see, there's my first line put in. It's my reference point. Now, at this point, be very careful. Again, guys, you can burn this off if you're running a coal forge or if you're running a really hot gas forge. So I'm gonna go back in, come back out, we're gonna clean up this, and then we're gonna start cutting the rest of our vanes in. We'll clean up our center line and the rest of our vanes. Now I'm just tracing my line down, guys. Staying as straight as possible, going to the end. Now, I'm slightly angling my chisel here, guys, to cut in my angled vanes. And I'll admit, this is a whole lot easier to do under a treadle hammer. But I like getting back to the basics again too. Now, don't worry about your metal getting a little cold. Mild steel. Is very forgiving with your chisel if you hardened it right. Remember, going for that straw color when you made your chisel. Get one more right there on the end. All right, I'm gonna go back in the fire. Now, if you have forged your hold down, you can use it for this. And I'll be honest, I haven't made a hold down for this anvil yet. I need to. Go right there on the back one more time. All right, there's those. There's our first vanes. Now we're gonna go back in the fire and cut the other side. Can you cut the other side while it's still like this? Yes, but you're not gonna get as deep a cut, and you're gonna have to hit a little harder. So we're doing it as a safety thing, so you don't kick the metal back on you. All right, guys, I wanna show something really quick. So, you see how the anvil's sitting right now? I have my punch in my hand, but if I come out of the fire and my hammer's sitting here in my way, I'm gonna have to move my hammer before I can lay my material down. So always think about what you're gonna be doing next. So I'm gonna move my hammer and stand it up. So now when I come out, I can instantly just grab my hammer. My tongs I'll have in my hand, and my punch I have in my hand. So when I get done with my tongs, I'm not gonna lay them down on the anvil, I'm gonna lay them down out of my way. So I'm not getting myself in a mess and I have too many things in my way while I'm trying to work. Just a little bit of advice, guys. So got my angle. Holding in here so I can look, hit once and look. If you've got somebody helping you guys, or you have the hold down, this goes a lot easier. Trying to match up where my other lines are so I don't get them off too much. Try to keep a slight angle on it. Woo. Hit that one a little too hard, but I like the way that looks. All right, so I'm stopping there. I like the way this looks. I like the veins. I like how it's made. Now, from here, I am gonna, when I come around, I'm gonna work on the material down here for a second to get my handle started. But when I come around and roll this to make it wrap, I'm gonna do a little bit of 3D dimension with this. Now, I did a video on how to make your own scrolling tongs out of a pair of side cutters. If you haven't watched that video, I'll put a link in the description, but we did a recycling video on that, and I'm gonna do some more of those when I find some more of those pliers cheap, because they work really well for different kinds of scrolling tongs and other various things. So, I'm gonna work on this handle a little bit, and then wrap it and scroll it around the way I wanna scroll it. Or, yeah, we're good. Alright guys, move my chisel out of my way. I think I'm going to flatten this just a little bit on the end. This is just something I thought of. If you just want to wrap it, your main points that I'm really trying to put in is your end here and how we're going to do the bottle opening end. But I think I'm going to flatten it down till about right here. Give you something good to hang on to and wrap it up top really cool. And might even have the leaf where it's sitting flat right in this area. I always think about it guys, but remember, there are no mistakes. It's a design change. And sometimes the metal just doesn't want to do what you want it to do. Let it speak to you. I know that sounds crazy because I've heard artists say, I'll let the canvas speak to me or the clay speak to me. And I didn't realize what they were talking about until years ago. And I would stop and look at a piece of steel and go, I can see the knife in that piece of metal, or I can see what that needs to turn into when I'm designing my project. So, getting that flattened, we're going to flatten down to about right here, go a little bit wider, and then wrap it. Hadn't smacked the camera in a while, guys. Let me move y'all to this side. You know, left-handed blacksmith and all. Speaking of left-handed blacksmith, just kind of a, if you're reading the Bible, there was a left-handed blacksmith named Ehud. He's one of my favorite people in the Bible. But he forged a dagger and killed a king to save the Israelites. As you can see guys, I'm working on the transition right here. I don't want it to have a shoulder. I want it to be a smooth transition into that. That's why I'm angled hitting it here, to keep it from creating a gap and a shoulder there. Now, I'm gonna go just a hair further for this handle. So, I'm gonna go to about right here. I think that'll look really good. All right guys. Moved it so what? Hit it and hit it again. Alright, we're good there. I like the size. Clean it up a little bit. So we got a smooth transition. Now, I'm going to bend this around, wrap it, and then we're going to start forging out our other side, where our bottle opener is going to be. Okay guys, going to go right over the horn of the anvil, start bending this around. I'm gonna grab scrolling tongs from the past video that we had made. You don't have to use the scrolling tongs. I'm not going to. If you ain't got them made yet, I'm gonna do this just by hand. Okay guys, so start bending this around, and I'm using my Hardy hole. If you have a porch, you can use that, but use all the parts of your anvil. Check that out, guys. Now, I'm gonna come back out, I'm gonna tap that down, and I'm gonna tap some of these edges down a little bit to give this a little bit more three-dimensional feel instead of it just being flat. You wanna make sure you make your leaf look kind of more three-dimensional. Might take it down just a hair, but I kind of like how that looks right there. As I cooled down the back half of my leaf, I'm just tapping it, getting it bent around to where I want it to be, making that three-dimensional look on it so it looks like it's wrapped around. Alright guys, gonna heat it up and then tap that down, but I like that look right there. Okay guys, so now we are gonna draw out where our bottle opener portion is going to be. Now, we might end up cutting some of this off because of how much material we have. So, we're going to draw this out to about a little bit thicker than our vine at the top. Get a better grip on this. There we go. And then we're going to wrap it around. So I'm going to draw this out real quick, guys, because we know what the drawn out process looks like. Be careful that you do not damage your leaf in the process. All right, guys, so we're almost the length we want to be. We'll draw this out just a little bit more. Now, I am going to speak for a second while I'm hammering. Why am I using this particular pair of tongs when a pair of bolt jaw tongs, flat bar tongs, something like that would work a lot better? What I wanted to teach you in this also is sometimes you don't get to have all the right equipment, and you might not have the ability to make it, you might not have the ability to, or you might be set up at a fair or something and you thought you brought something and you didn't. So you use what you have, you make it work for you. These might be a tad bit uncomfortable to use, but they are getting the job done. Sometimes you don't get the benefit of having 50 pairs of tongs with you. Sometimes you have to use just, what you brought, and so hopefully it works out. All right, guys, so I'm gonna bend this back at a 90 degree, and then I'm gonna bring it up and find the point where I wanna wrap it. Because I think I'm gonna cover the leaf and wrap it that way back up on itself some, because I have the extra material, and see what that looks like. Guys, this right here is just playing and having fun and making your design of a leaf bottle opener. Alright guys, so I got it bent. Now I'm going to wrap it around itself, and I'll establish where I want my dimple to be. Which is, like I said, going to be roughly in this area right there. again, guys. Yes. So, going over the horn. Gonna close it up. I'm gonna hook it and bring it back to me. That actually kind of looks cool, but that ain't what I'm going for. So, we'll take, bend it, and then wrap it a little bit. Okay? And then I'm gonna shape this a little bit more to that kind of key shape that normally bottle openers have. Oh, went on the wrong side. I will say, no, it'll still work. Flatten that down on here. Looking good so far, guys. We're gonna wrap it up right here. Now again, if you don't have a porch or anything, get creative with your anvil. I'm gonna go right over my hardy hole and get it pushed down in there so I can roll it up. We're just shaping it out, guys. Playing. Oh, didn't have it hot enough. So what I'm gonna do is heat it up, knock this back down where I want it to be, and then quench everything but this one little section so I can get that oblong shape I'm looking for. Even though I do like this, that pattern. Alright, let's get it hot so we don't break it. Even people that's been forging as long as me wants to play with it when it's cold. Alright guys, don't burn me at the stake, but I think I'm going to leave it the way it is. I started looking at it when it come out, and I really like the design of this. On how it turned out. And I kind of don't want to change it. So, I'm going to come out with my punch, and I'm going to hit right here. And it's gonna make that dimple. Now it's gonna be a half on, half off blow with this, guys. So I'm going right in here. My punch is a little small, but it will work. I might have to hit it a couple times. All right, guys. Do a little bit of half on, half off action right there. Get this where it's good and flat. You are going to need this kind of thin so it will grip the bottle. All right, so that looks really good right there. So let's go let it cool down a little bit, and I'm going to go check it again, and then if it's working good, we're going to open us a bottle and have us something good to drink. All right guys, so it worked pretty good, but there's a tiny shoulder right there, so you can see it. I'm gonna knock it down, and then we are gonna be perfect, guys. All right, guys, so let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned today. So we forged our bottle opener, and it works very well. Never been good at opening glass bottles, but it works really well, guys. Couple points I'm gonna make, actually. Is it Hornitos? Or tell me how, somebody enunciate this for me. I have never been able to pronounce it, but I love these. But let's get real for a minute and talk about what we learned today, guys. Sorry, I got off track talking about my drink. So we forged our bottle opener. Now, does your bottle opener have to look exactly like this? No, but there's key components that you're gonna need for it to work. One, make sure that the head is big enough to fit over the bottle cap, and make sure that the dimple right there is thin enough that it will hook into the bottle cap. Your design doesn't matter. It's all about how big the head is. It can be round, it can be flatter with that kind of rectangle shape. Really doesn't matter there. It all depends on those couple of basics. You want to hit about middle ways to almost maybe 3/4 of the way on the bottle cap, and then make sure your dimple is thin enough that it will be able to hook into it. Now, let me talk about the tongs for a second. Why did I use these tongs? Well, one is we made them for the project. And if you see in the video, I struggle a little bit. And I did that for a purpose. At any point, I could have grabbed any of the 40 pairs of tongs I have here. And as I said in the video, sometimes you don't get the option of what you're using. Sometimes this might be the only pair you took with you, and then you come to find out the project that you're making at a fair or a festival or wherever, you started making something and realized these aren't the exact tongs for it, but you can make them work. So be careful when you do it so you don't burn yourself, but understand sometimes you have to use what you have and make it work for you. Now, I'm going to give you this suggestion. I keep a small pair of vice grips with me at all times. I have a bigger pair that I have lost in my shop somewheres, or they're on the trailer that we use when we're traveling, but I always keep a pair of vice grips around, or whatever their technical name's called. I've always called all of these vice grips. You can pick up a cheap pair at Harbor Freight, Walmart, anywhere. Now, be careful because the jaws, sometimes the teeth will mar up your work. I have seen them where they're flat. You just have to get them a little tighter. But always keep a pair of these around. So if you're doing something and you realize you do not have the right tongs for it, you can grab these and clip them on. Now, we're going to be forging a lot of different tongs and a lot of different stuff over the course of this year, getting your toolbox built up and making projects. So like I said, so you're gonna build a bunch of stuff along the way. Now, back to our bottle opener. Guys, this is a simple project. Very simple project to make. You can make these as elaborate as you want and as simple as you want. Now, I am gonna go ahead and drop the hint. In March, we will be making another bottle opener, but we're gonna be punching the hole and making more of a traditional bottle opener. What I'm doing is going to give you 4 items in March, and I'll announce them next Friday. Yeah, next Friday. I had to get my weeks figured out. Next Friday, the 1st of March, that first Friday in March, the 4 projects we're going to be doing in the month. But all we're going to be using is our tongs, these tongs, our chisel, and our punch. So I will announce what those items are going to be next week. I got 3 of them figured out. I got 1 more I'm trying to figure out, trying to decide. So, and what those projects will be are easy projects that you can forge and build up your inventory for going to fairs and festivals. So, got some really cool projects we're going to be doing and coming up in for the next month. But guys, that is the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one. Again, really cool bottle opener. Really neat design. Oh, by the way, sorry, I forgot to say, this will be on the Etsy shop Saturday afternoon. If anybody is interested, I will have this one up on the Etsy shop. I'm going to clean it up a little bit with the wire wheel, but it will be on the Etsy shop for sale if anybody's interested. Again, guys, I will see you on the next one. God bless. Keep hammering.